A very good afternoon, everyone. I, Roli Vadhwa, Assistant Professor, DME Management School, extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the Multidimensional Leadership Conclave, MDLC 2021, organized by the Management School of Delhi Metropolitan Education. The theme of this conclave is Impact of School Education System on Higher Education. To give you a brief about the Institute, Delhi Metropolitan Education, the Institute is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi. The law courses at DME are approved by the Bar Council of India. DME Management School offers bachelor's in business administration, BBA. DME Law School offers BA LLB and BBA LLB. DME Media School offers Bachelor in Journalism and Mass Communication. The institute is located in IT Hub of NCR, Sector 62, Noida. Now to apprise you about Delhi Technical Campus. DTC is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi. DTC School of Engineering offers BTech in Computer Science and Engineering, BTech in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering. DTC School of Computer Application offers Bachelor in Computer Application. DTC School of Architecture offers Council of Architecture approved course, Bachelor of Architecture. DTC School of Hotel Management offers Bachelor in Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Masters of Business Administration, BA Honors Economics, and BCom Honors. Now talking about the MDLC series. MDLC series, looking at the topic for the conclave today. The Government of India has recently taken a crucial decision to cancel Class 12 board exam due to the current pandemic situation. As we all are aware of the importance of Class 12 exams in our current education system, not only the students, but teachers, principals, parents, higher education leaders, all are equally under pressure to ensure that the children should get good marks in Class 12. The cancellation of these exams shall have far-reaching repercussions on the future of children. MDLC series aims to deliberate on this recent decision by the government to cancel Class 12 board exams in the wake of COVID crisis. So to have a fruitful discussion, we have invited esteemed principals from renowned schools to delve deeper into the issue. We are very proud that recently we have organized previous MDLC with the schools in Delhi NCR. It was held on 9 June 2021. So before we actually start, I would like to introduce DTC and DME's leadership to you. So today we have amongst us Professor Dr. Ranjit Verma, Director DTC. Sir has over 25 years of experience and holds a PhD degree in electronics from Jaipur National Institute. Before joining DTC, Sir has worked with K.R. Mangalam University, Gurugram. Welcome, sir. We also have amongst us Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, Dean DME Management School and Director DME. Sir has over 24 years of experience in teaching and administration and holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. Welcome, sir. Now I would like to introduce our esteemed guests for today. We have Dr. Baljeet Kaur Sethi, Principal, Wisdom Public School, Meerut. Ma'am has over 14 years experience in teaching and 10 plus years of experience in administration. She has worked at various levels as founder principal, vice principal, IB PYP and CIE coordinator. Welcome to the session, ma'am. We also have amongst us Dr. Sunita Madan, Principal, SBP, DAV Centenary Public School, Fatehabad. Ma'am has over 10 years experience in teaching and 17 years experience as principal. Ma'am has been honored with several awards during her career. Welcome, ma'am. Also, we have our another guest with us, Mr. Syed Ali Haider Rizvi, Principal at the International School, Agra. Sir has been the founder principal of IIS Abu Dhabi, UAE, and principal at the Indian Academy, Dubai. Sir has been approved as principal by Ministry of Education, Dubai, and has received several accolades for his teaching and administration services. Also, I would like to now introduce the moderators for today. We have Professor Dr. Purva Ranjan, Professor and Head DME Management School and Head Mentoring Cell at DME. Also, we have Dr. Shalini Gautam, Associate Professor at DME Management School and Head Outreach Team DME. So the welcome to, a very warm welcome to all of you. And now over to Dr. Purva Ranjan, ma'am.
Welcome everyone, and on behalf of the MDLC moderators, I would like to officially start with this panel discussion. And to the students of class 12 who have joined us and who have also joined the chat group, can feel free to pose their questions right now also and during this panel discussion as well, so that we are able to take it up with the esteemed panel members and help you to the maximum in solving your queries related to exams as well as your higher education. So let us begin with the round one, where we will select questions that we have and put across to the panel members. And meanwhile, we will gather the question from the students and put across to panel members again. So Shalini ma'am, shall we start? Ma'am, you're on mute, Shalini ma'am.
Sorry. Thank you, Purva ma'am. I would also like to share that we are live on Facebook and we are getting lots of queries on Facebook as well. I would request our panel members, Dr. Baljit Kaur, Sunita Madan ma'am, and Syed sir, if you can please switch on your videos so that we can start with our round one. All the esteemed panelists, if you can, hello ma'am, welcome to all of you. Dr. Sethi, if you can switch on your video, ma'am. I think some network problem with Dr. Sethi's network, because she was there earlier. She had switched on her video also earlier. Ma'am, are you there? Should we start? Otherwise, I don't know. Dr. Baljit Kaur Sethi, ma'am.
Ma'am, let us start with the first round. And meanwhile, we'll...
Okay, she has just messaged me. She's not able to switch on her video. Permission from the host required. The backend office, backend team, please check for video and audio. Her settings are... She required permission from the host. Please confirm once done, the backend team. Sir, has it been done? Yes. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. We're so sorry for the technical glitches. I think we are still learning. Right. So, welcome one and all. So I would like to straight away start with our panel discussion. So my first question is with Dr. Sethi, to you only. Basically, what we are seeing right now, all of us are witnessing quite a change in the way we perceive the schools, the classes, in fact, our own education system, the examination system. Because if we talk about even till last year, it was unthinkable to cancel the board exams. The kind of stress that is associated with the final year of the school is humongous, all of us know. And the importance of these exams can be judged from the fact that the Prime Minister himself has to chair the meeting to decide on the fate of the exams. So based on this background, Dr. Sethi, I would like to ask you, ma'am, do you think that the government has taken the right decision to cancel the board exams, or would it have been better to postpone the exams to some later date, probably in August or September? What is your opinion on this, ma'am?
Okay. Hi, first, a very good afternoon to everyone and to all the students present here, because it is the student who is right now suffering at the most. But children, see, we need to understand, we need to look at the current scenario. We need to see the repercussions if the government would have not cancelled the examinations, and if they would have thought of postponing them. What would have been the psyche of the students? It would have been a very, very difficult stage. I think the stress that the students have been going along, it would have still be stretched. And it was not a solution to postpone the examinations, because still we are not sure till when the COVID extend. So according to me, according to the review, according to what our students have been sharing, I hope it has been the correct decision to postpone to cancel the board examinations, because there's no other solution as of now. What is more important than the life of our children? Nothing is more important. If life is there, they can make their career anytime, and there's no harm to their career as of now also. If the children are thinking that by canceling the board examinations, whatever preparations they have done, they have just gone into, just like that, it's not, because we don't study only for examinations. We study for our knowledge and understanding. So if you have gained that knowledge, if you have gained that understanding, if you have got those skills, exams hardly mean anything then. You need to self-assess yourself, because the skills that are with you, the knowledge and understanding that is with you, that is more important. Assessment is fine. We do assess the children, but yes, at this point of time, when how can we think of a child taking examination if he's seeing death all around, if he's seeing that stress, that panic all around? How do you think today you are going to school for your examination and you see any of your family member, will you be able to give examination in that stressful situation? No. So this, the stress that is around us, how people are managing their families. So it was not wise to conduct exams at this point of time. Secondly, postponing the exams when we are hearing that the third wave can happen, and which is really going to be very crucial for the children. We cannot take a risk, not at all. So obviously the government's decision to cancel the board examination was a very right decision. The next thing that has to be there is how we evaluate the children. That is more important. For the students, whatever they have done, because they already got 1.5 years to study and they have already done their best. It's not that in the beginning they were told that no examinations will be held and they stop their studies. They've already done their preparations. So when they've already acquired that knowledge, they should not think about anything. Whatever is, the school will definitely see that there's no injustice being done to the children. Whatever way we are going to give marks or evaluate the children, that has to be standardized. That we need to see there should not be any harm to any student. So we'll try our best to do justice with our children. And this decision is exactly what it has to be. The government has taken the right decision.
Quite rightly said, ma'am, because life is more important right now.
Yeah.
And it's not just one exam they have to give. There are several more exams and entrances that will be there to test their knowledge.
If they would have taken one exam, What about when the second exam is going to happen after 4 days? Might be the child is not able to do that, or he catches some infection. How can so many children sitting in one room
Absolutely.
and coming from different
Lot of
families?
risk attached.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a lot of risk. And
I'm taking forth from what you mentioned here, that in this situation, keeping in mind the criteria of how to assess, that is really important, because the physical examination, the way we write papers, that can't be done. So I would like to request Ms. Madan to add on to this, that ma'am, since you represent more than 50 colleges, and you are also in panel with recommendation to CBSE committee, we would like to know, what do you think should be the appropriate criteria that should be kept in mind to evaluate the results?
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, the criteria that the board has given for class 10th is also very good criteria. But because after 10, the students, they do not go for colleges. After +2, they have to go to colleges, and the criteria should be same for all the boards. If you have seen the result of HBSE declared 2 days back, 60,000 students have got 100% marks in class 10. So if different boards are giving different way of result, then automatically students of CBSE will suffer. If 60,000 students in +2 get 100% marks, they will not get admission in DU. CBSE students will be at a loss. So there should be objective criteria for all the boards. After +2, they compete at national level for admission in various colleges. So the criteria should be just like 10th, and it can be better. It would be better if it is in percentile way, in relative mode. That will be very helpful for all boards and for admission in higher education also. Instead of giving marks, they can give percentile, as you people give in colleges.
In fact, I think Mr. Manish Sisodia, Delhi government, he had suggested certain criteria to the government, in which he's saying that 20% to the 10th and 30% to the internals of the 12th class, and rest 50 of the to the certain pre-boards and all. So certain criteria, certain chief ministers from various states are giving the criteria, but we still have to wait, I think, for another day or two to so that the CBSE can come out with the actual criteria for 12th class students.
But for class +2, I think the board should not consider the marks obtained by students in class 10th and 11th. In 10th and 11th, the students do not prepare in such a sincere way as they prepare for class +2 board examination. Secondly, in class 10th, they have all the subjects. They have to compulsorily study all the subjects, whether they like it or not. But in 11th, they choose the subject as per their interest, and they work hard on that. For +2, they prepare for admission in various colleges. So performance in 10th, 11th, and +2 is different. If we compare the result of last 10 years of school, then there is a lot of difference in performance of students in class 10th and 12th. So taking in consideration class 10th and 11th is not good, because they were not as sincere as they used to be in +2. So internal assessment of +2 can be considered. All the schools have taken the UTs, half yearlies, pre-boards. Just like class 10, the criteria can be considered like that: 10% for UT, 20% for half yearly, and 40% for this pre-board examination. 30 marks for practicals have already been given. 20 for internal assessment in some subjects. They have already been uploaded on the board website. So 70 or 80 marks are there. That can be on the basis of the internal examination conducted by school, and relatively, like class 10, they have given a reference year for schools. For last 3-year performance, the school can choose the best performance they have shown in last 3 years. Similarly, for +2, it can be done like that.
Right, ma'am. Right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your opinion. Sir, Syed Ali, sir, this is the short-term measures that, we are talking about right now. What should be the criteria and all for the assessment But looking at the present situation, we are actually not sure that whether this pandemic is going to get over or not, right? Ma'am was already talking about the third wave and all. So probably we are going to have the same situation in next year, 22, or even in 2023. We are actually not sure. So looking at in these uncertain times, in your opinion, what should be the future of the board exams? So how the assessment criteria of students should be evolved so that we would have a fair and transparent system to assess our students, specifically class 12 students.
A very good afternoon to all present here. What I was listening to, ma'am, what ma'am said, that the student, they must study for their knowledge, for experience, and not for the marks. Agreed. Board examination cancellation, agreed. It was needed, very much needed. Agreed. I'm in favor of cancelling the board exam. But my question is, we expect students that you should study for knowledge, not for marks. But have we provided the environment? Have we provided the situation to the students that you don't look for the marks? What do we do when we select the teachers in government schools? What happens in JNU admissions? What happens when we go for any examination? You need this percentage marks to fill the form. So that means we have given the situation where everybody talks about only marks. If you don't have the marks, you may not be allowed to appear in many exams. So first, the lawmakers, where were the lawmakers from the March 2020? CBSE had only two options, either to conduct the exam or to cancel the exams. They were new, and today we are discussing a very good topic that in future, if the situation remains the same, what are we going to do? This question should have been raised in the beginning in September 2020, and everybody should have been thinking about the future, and we should have a plan. Great that we think, because the problem is that the decision is taken by the lawmakers, but the relevant people, the teachers, the principals, the education experts, they are rarely involved in taking the decision. Now, for future, I'll give you very short examples what we can do. First thing is that when we are talking about higher education, we should not keep this percentage criteria when you are taking an entrance. Let everybody, if somebody got 49.9% marks, for 0.1% marks, you are not allowing them to appear in the exam. Maybe he has learned, maybe he has improved, maybe he can do better than what those who have got 55 and 60% marks. So we have to first, the lawmakers, the policy need to change where we should allow children's talent and their knowledge not to see the marks. Number two, we should start working on the profile development. Now, if you see, I am sure the panelists will agree with me. In European universities, in American universities, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, there are good universities. They do not see the marks. They ask you to make your profile and come back. So when we do a profile making and we submit the whole file, what all we have done, where the interest lies, what are the capabilities, what all we can do, what are the skills that I have acquired, what are the qualities that I'm carrying to the university. They ask you to prepare. They don't see the marks. They see the whole profile. If you have participated in sports, if you have participated in singing, in dancing, anything, whatever, scientific research, short research. So we should work on the profile development. Whether the exam happens or not, it is just one part of the profile. So we may ignore. We'll see what all. And teachers are the best to work upon it. And we should make a criteria where there should not be any kind of injustice with the students. Now, if you see CBSE, I will take you in the early 2000, the second part, 2010-11, when CBSE has launched CBSE I. CBSE I was the curriculum where they said no textbook. There'll be only work. There'll be student research work. There'll be activity based. So it was in a wrong hands. The teachers were not given proper training. The project got failed and it was taken back by the CBSE. But the concept of CBSE I was perfect. And if we would have carried from there, maybe we would have been in a better position today to make our results. Now, what I am suggesting, another part is, see, one, I said profile development. Second, I said the CBSEI curriculum. If we go back and see the criteria we made that time, I think we can use it. Number three, the skills we talk about is, like for example, in languages, we talk about 4 skills. If you see the exams, IELTS exams conducted for English, we can have this kind of activity in all the subjects. You're talking about social studies, fine. You will have a reading part in that. You will be asked to speak about given on a particular given topic. You will be given some kind of case studies where children are going to work. They make the projects, and this is something which they can do by taking the guidance online from the teachers. They can do in their societies. They need not to be in the school boundary. And their handwritten project to be submitted to the teachers for evaluation. There should be one review where the teachers will guide them to improve upon the project. We call it assessment for learning. What we are doing actually is assessment of learning. I am in favor of doing assessment for learning. So when they make the project, when they submit it, and teachers do the review and give the guidance to the student, how can you improve your project? So the learning will be in real meaning, and the learning they can use in their daily life. Now I'll tell you another thing. For example, when we are saying assessment for learning, so when we do some kind of activity, like let's talk about the internship. In India, most of the colleges, they do not have the facility to send the children for internship, proper internship. They make hypothetical projects.
Like you just mentioned that the learning that should check about what the life projects and internships are being done. But usually the internships doesn't happen at the school level. It definitely begins when student enters any professional college. But in the class 11th and 12th, the internship doesn't happen. But yes, project and dissertation and all group assignments do happen. But I guess the internship and the industry connects happen when we move to higher education. So in this catching on to what you just said, I would like to take the opinion of representation that we have from higher education on this aspect. Dr. Ravikant Swami sir, since you represent a college which runs courses under Guru Gobind Singh University, which has BBA and courses like law and journalism, and as well we have courses like BTech. Now, like what Rizvi sir very rightly pointed here, that all through these years we have made students think about percentage. That if this so and so percentage is there, then you'll get admission in GNU, teachers, job, and everything. So how do we handle this situation in higher education when the same student is looking for course admissions in these professional courses?
So, first of all, means 3 principles and 3 different views, and maybe Dr. Ranjit will give another view. But I can share my view regarding the examination. Look, CBSE created, and rightly so, created a great image for itself that it can conduct any exam and smoothly online. So CBSE had a great image in my mind. And I was very hopeful that CBSE would be conducting the 10th and 12th exams online. I really don't know why CBSE did not do that. Of course, there is other side of the story that, you know, examinations tell less, they reveal less and hide more. All those stories are there. And people talk about Bill Gates and college dropouts and our lacunas in our teaching system. But yes, I was very hopeful that CBSE would conduct, because the number of students appearing in 12th class is around 12 lakh, I believe. And similar is the number of students in appearing for JEE or other exams, which CBSE has been conducting and conducting very well in an online manner. So I was hoping that somehow it did not happen. It's okay. Now, there is a problem for people like us who are looking after colleges. And the problem is that how to assess a student. Now, there are 2 kinds of universities available in the Indian context. One is the DU types, Delhi University or maybe many other, which purely go by the percentage in 12th class. Second is the category GGS IPU types, which say that forget about your percentage in 12th and we have our own entrance, and say for law we have CLAT, say for engineering we have JEE. You score there and whatever is your score in 12th class does not matter. So I think in the present scenario, of course, I believe when exams are not held, then the good students suffer. Rather, they suffer more vis-a-vis the students who are not that good in studies. So under such circumstances, universities like IPU means they will be better options for the students, because these universities say that it is a fresh board, it's a fresh slate, forget about 12th, come appear in our entrance, and whatever you score here will be the only consideration. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your advice to the students and for your suggestions. But like you have rightly said, that there are two major universities, if we talk about in Delhi, like IP University and Delhi University. So it is not the students who are there in Delhi, but students who are outside Delhi also. They have a craze to study in the top BU colleges, right? And we all know that, that you have rightly said that it is only dependent upon the 12th exam results. And we all are aware about the last year's, cutoff, which have gone in various courses in various colleges as high as 100%, right? So now with so much of uncertainty about the assessment criteria and all, so I would like to ask you, Mr. Ranjit Verma, sir, that the marks and all, the students are not very clear. What would be the assessment criteria? What are the marks? What is the percentage that they are going to score? So what would be your guidance in this kind of situation? The students who are crazy about getting admission in BU.
First of all, I want to wish all of you a very good afternoon for this team panel and all the students who are appearing now for the different college examinations. I think that what CBSE has done, first of all, I want to react on that. What CBSE has done is according to the moment, according to the situation, it was best for the students regarding their health and all other well-being. But now the career is very important, and for that, as Dr. Swami has said, and other professors like Mr. Syed Ali and other principals have rightly mentioned, that this is very crucial time for class 12 students. There are two universities which are in Delhi, and one of them is 100-year-old Delhi University. Another one is also more than 20 years old. And both these universities have a good reputation. They are government university and they offer different types of courses. I would suggest that a student who has done class 12, and if he is looking for professional courses, like for example, BTech, hotel management, architecture, then IP University is very good. And IP University is offering these courses, and for that, it is taking the national level test as the, you may say, as the merit, for the merit. For that, any student, if he has not got good percentage, or if he has got good percentage class 12, he will have to appear in JEE examination or in a CLAT examination or in some type of NATA examination for architecture courses. Then only he can take admission in IP University. So for the boards, in fact, for not conducting the examination, or for the, in fact, different state boards giving more than 100% student, in fact, giving around 60% students around 100% mark, doesn't matter. When there is one more test and that the student has to pass to come in the merit list, it becomes important that for that student to qualify in that test. So I think IP University or IP University is a good option for these students. And I would suggest, though it has a standing of 20 years, it offers various professional courses, and they are all being recognized by UGC, AICT, and it's a NAC A grade university. So I would suggest these students to rather look out for this GGS, Guru Gobind Singh in the first IP University, and they can go for their different courses according to their choice, and they can choose the impact from them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Verma sir, for guiding the students. Because like I come from Allahabad, and there is a general feeling that, let's migrate towards Delhi NCR region and study in DU. So there is a certain kind of image attached that if you're a DU student. But realities are quite different, that there are several better options available, which are safer options for students as compared to waiting for the merit list, which starts with 98 point some percentage and ends at 99 point some percentage. But where do the rest of the students go? So that's one clear understanding we must have. So sir, taking on from here on the chat group, there's one student asking. So I'll divert my question to Ravi sir. Student is saying that I'm a science student, but I don't feel that I'm fit enough to clear the engineering or any other related examination. So first of all, can I switch into humanities? And if I do so, what are the options that I can go for in my higher education?
Well, again, in my opinion, the stream in which a student has completed his or her 12th is not the determining factor and should not be the determining factor. I'll tell you the reason why. Means you look at the best people in various areas. We find the best people in the area of finance were engineers. Means what? It simply means that, studying a stream is fine, but that stream is not the deciding factor. So if a student has taken science at 12th, means that student can excel very well as an advocate by taking admission in, say, BA LLB or BBA LLB or journalism or management. Means I have so many examples where the people they graduated in science and then they went to MBA and they excelled in their careers. So if a student has taken any stream in 11th and 12th, that should not be the deciding factor. So means all these disciplines, I call media, management, law, I call them discipline neutral courses. A person from any discipline can join these courses and excel in these professions. So I say it's discipline neutral. Discipline is one thing, but then it should not be like a hangover. Yes.
Right, sir. So taking on from where sir had said, that we have another question on our Facebook Live link, and the student is saying that and sir Syed sir, I would like to direct this question to you because we were talking about the internal assessments and all. So now the problem is that we all know the second wave. I don't know any home which is left untouched with the second wave. So if the student is not able to perform in his internals because of certain situations at home, probably he had suffered from the COVID situation or certain members in his family suffered from the COVID situation, and he was under the impression that that he will be giving the final board exams, and he did not give 100% on his for his internal exams. So what would you tell that student, Mr. Rizvi? So what should he be doing? What should be the assessment criteria for those kind of students? For this year specifically, long term, we can work upon that model and all which you were talking about. It was a nice model, but right now the situation is little different. So what should be the assessment criteria for these students, sir?
See, first thing is that CBSE has given an option, like if you can give the exams later. Another option is that CBSE first said that those who have taken basic mathematics can take, were not allowed to take mathematics in grade 11, but can take. So I mean, somewhere the CBSE is flexible, but the exam criteria, if I talk about two sides, what I have to suggest to a student and what should be the reality. Reality means the CBSE has to take a call. The Indian government has to take a call that for such students, maybe we can give them a short project to do on the basis of which we can assess the students. And this project should be in association with the university needs. So I think the university people are the best people to decide what kind of project should be given to such students who were not able to study properly, and they make a guideline, and that guideline can be given to the schools, and through the school the students can do maybe a 15 days kind of a short internship kind of program can be made with the help of a teacher, that the student can work and present it, and then evaluation should be done on that. That's one part. And for the student, what he has done, if he is getting less marks, as I said previously, that the universities should allow this year and for another 2 years should allow everybody, whatever, irrespective of the percentage. And this child should not get demoralized that they have not learned. So what they should start from now, and they should take the streams which they feel they are good at. They can take the guidance of the counselors. We have very good counselors in India. They can take help of counselors, which stream they should go, meet the university counselor, and then accordingly a separate, see, when we are doing in the classroom teaching, we always have 3 plans. One for the toppers, one for the average student, and one for the lower. But it is not lower, this division is only basis on the marks. What you see in the reality, the backbenchers, they are more successful in their lives compared to those who are getting 90% and above. So we have to make a plan consulting the university people, and then through CBSE, we should give an opportunity to these students. They have 15-20 days time to work on that, and they should be assessed based on that. And they should take any stream which they feel like studying, and maybe a kind of an objective short test also can be conducted to see what they have done. So these are the 2 things, but the students should study whatever they feel like, whatever they are good at, in consultation with either counselor or the teacher.
Rightly mentioned, sir. Right now we need to focus on the present situations, and subsequently the recommendations from such kind of discussions and press and media coverage can definitely change the traditional mindset that we've been carrying. And in order to overcome pandemic, we need to move out of our comfort zones and traditional systems. So there's one more question. I will direct it to Dr. Verma. The student is asking that the student wanted to pursue engineering in computers field, but then and they wanted to shift to Bangalore side because it's so-called the IT hub. Now the parents are not allowing this child to go. So whether he should skip 1 year and wait for another year to things settle down, or what should be the right way so that 1 year is not wasted and yet student is able to pursue the engineering and the branch he wanted to.
Thank you, Dr. Purva. I think this is one of the most, in fact, prominent question that is being, in fact, asked by the various students who are either planning to go abroad or either planning to go to different states to pursue their, in fact, future studies or further studies. I think in our scenario, in our Delhi NCR, there are pretty good colleges, a pretty good government university. GGS IPU is there. The registration of this university is open. And one more thing I want to tell you is that this university offers a great placement. In fact, a college like TTC, where I am working as a director, Delhi Technical Campus, has more than 20 placement above 15 lakhs. That also during this COVID scenario. So I would suggest all these students who are aspiring to become an engineer, maybe in computer science branch or in artificial intelligence or machine learning branch, because all these branches are present in GGS IPU, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth IPU, the university. So they can pursue their career from here. And one more thing I want to tell these students, that in fact, as far as the curriculum is concerned, the curriculum of this university is in collaboration with the top industries or the demand of the industry. So in fact, what we are giving to the students is quite relevant, and it is quite, in fact, according to the requirement in the industry. So our university is well defined by the NAC also, and it is a good university. So we can ask these students to pursue their career in Delhi NCR instead of moving out of their homes. I don't know how long this COVID scenario is going to persist. I don't know what the risk of, but in fact, this COVID scenario will have on his health, but it is certainly won't be good. So in fact, all these students in whatever courses or whatever programs they were planning to go out, or in fact move out of the city, they should not waste their money, because a time wasted will never return back, and any 1 year is very important in their life. So they should not think of in fact waiting for 1 year. Instead they should plan their registration or admission in these universities. And as it was rightly said, Delhi University is a good option, but the criteria of percentage and the merit is so high that it becomes very, in fact, very difficult, almost impossible to, in fact, to get admission. Somebody who is from outside Delhi, because those who have done their 12th from Delhi, they get some amount of reservation, but for all those students who are from, in fact, Ghaziabad, Greater Noida, even for Agra, or from somewhere else, in fact, outside Delhi, they will find very few seats left for them, and the percentage and the merit for those seats is very high. So DGS-IPU is a good option for them, and they should apply Delhi University also, and for DGS-IPU. If they get admission in Delhi University, they should pursue that. Otherwise, they can go for DGS-IPU. As far as BTech is concerned, BTech is only in IP University. It is not in Delhi University. And so I will. So this is my, in fact, suggestion to all the students who are planning. And please, I request all of you, please don't waste your 1 year. It is very pressure. Is not going to come back any means.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that advice. So my next question is, like you have rightly said, that not to waste 1 year, which is precious year of their life. So Dr. Madan, I know that you are coordinating with around 50 schools for the CBSE results in the Fatehabad area. So one of the students, she's asking that, ma'am, I have probably I will not score well in 12th results, right? So the assessment criteria, I'm not sure what is going to be, and if I don't score well in the 12th class exams, what should be my options, right? What would I be doing so that I will my future would be secure?
Ma'am, first of all, once the schools give the data as CBSE asks for, then they will announce the result. And once the result is declared and the student is not satisfied with the result, they will get an opportunity to appear in exam. Once the situation is normal, CBSE will conduct the examination for the students of class 10th and 12th who are not satisfied with their result. So there is nothing to worry about it. And most probably they will conduct the examination in August.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so that will reduce the anxiety of few of the students.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving on with what ma'am said, that there is still one more chance that in case student is not satisfied, they can reappear in the situation where things are better. So my question is now diverted to Dr. Ravikant Swami. Sir, there's a student is asking in Hindi. If you permit me, I'll put across the question. Okay. सर ये बच्चा पूछ रहा है कि आपने और वर्मा सर ने कुछ आईपी यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम लिया है. व्हाट इज दिस यूनिवर्सिटी, क्या है, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइएगा.
Well, if I say ये दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का विकल्प है, ऑल्टरनेटिव है, in what sense I'll tell you. Like DU is all about academic courses. Yes, when we talk about eco honors, BCom honors, physics honors, or say chemistry honors, mathematics, yes, Delhi University is the best, I'll say, not in India, but some of its colleges like SRCC are best in Asia. When we talk about colleges in commerce, then Loyola College, Chennai, from where Indra Nui did her BCom, and Shriram College of Commerce, Delhi University. Both are probably the best in Asia. But the problem with DU is that DU does not have professional courses. And with globalization, liberalization, and privatization, the world has moved from academic courses to professional courses. So professional courses are those which train you for a job, while academic courses are generic in nature. Say, I may do MA in history and thereafter I may compete for exams, this, that, I may do so many things. But if I'm doing MBA, I'm being trained for being a manager. If I do BBA, LLB, I am being trained for becoming an advocate. If I do engineering, I am being trained to be an IT specialist. So DU has academic courses. That is the major drawback in the current scenario for DU, while IPU is an alternative to DU in the sense that IPU is the second university by Delhi government. Delhi government has got two universities, DU and IPU. In fact, DU is a central university and IPU is a Delhi government's state university. So it's an alternative to DU in the sense that IPU runs professional courses and DU runs academic courses. And as far as means the reputation of IPU is concerned, I need not say anything because all the gradings and all that means not to name the celebrities which are who graduated from this GGS IPU.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. So now I would
by the way, I was trying to name Tapsi Pannu.
Yeah,
Yeah, she studied at IPU.
Sure, sir. So, sir, the next question I would like to direct it to Dr. Baljeet Kaur. Ma'am, there is a student who has prepared, very, very hard for the board class exams, and now with the cancellation of the board exams, that student is feeling cheated, right? He's saying that I've prepared so hard. I was hopeful that I will be scoring 97, 98% plus and getting admission in good college. Now, all the students are at par. So what is the advice that you would like to give those kind of students who have prepared so hard for the whole year and now they are not sure about their results themselves? Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not that if they have prepared or whatever they have, they were expecting. So even the school will definitely be giving some result to the student on the basis of the evaluation criteria that will be decided. So whatever parameters will be given, no doubt, if the child is good, he'll definitely set into those parameters. So it won't be that the child will suffer or the school is not going to reward marks to that child. He or she will definitely get good marks, even if it comes to internal assessment or any other profile that the school will consider or any project that will be considered. So when a different criteria will be considered, different parameters will be considered, no doubt that that child will again get marks in the school internal assessment criteria. And obviously, there's another ray of hope that what the CBSE has already given to the children. If a child is not satisfied with the marks, then you go ahead with that assessment which the CBSE has planned to take in August. So there's still hope. So first you look at the marks that the school will be giving. So if you're satisfied, well and good. If not, then use the next criteria. That's it. So no, nothing to worry. You need to have that emotional intelligence. That is what, when we talk about Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, that emotional intelligence is also required at this point of time. And that is what is going to help in his life. So again, I talk about skill development. These are the multiple intelligences that have to be built upon. And since we have been talking long about the vocational education, so if we look at the new NEP that the government has produced, obviously it is talking about vocational education at grade 8 level also. And then this class 10th board examinations and then 12th. So change will come. Might be this is the starting. So a revolution is about to begin. Because I have been associated with the IB and Cambridge curriculum since past 11 years. So last year, Cambridge also did the same. That was the first thing that Cambridge did last year, and we were not very happy with the criteria that they choose according to the internal assessments. But yes, because already this was done in Cambridge, so this year Cambridge schools were very, very particular while taking their internal assessments. And the students were also told in advance that the internal assessments can be a criteria for your final examinations. So I agree with Mr. Rizvi that these things should have been considered in the beginning of the year, so that the students would have been prepared, the schools could have done the assessments in that manner, and so that there's no injustice being done to the children. But anyway, still, if any child considers that from the internal marking, the evaluation criteria, he or she has not got the justice, he should take the second option, which is an examination in the month of August. So please don't worry about it.
Dr. Kaur, I think when we celebrated New Year's 2021, we all thought this is going to be a fantastic year with all that has happened in 2020. So I guess nobody, even as educator, as parent, as probably at the center, we had never anticipated this situation that might happen. But now I guess we are geared up for 2022 and 23 as well.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we are pretty clear in what way we have to move ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
So I would like to ask you one more question, Dr. Sethi. Like you have this class 10th and 11th students, because with 12th we can't do much more. So what are your plans for current 11th and 10th students? In what way you are grooming them? What counseling you're providing them? And what are the general the issues that they are facing when it comes to, because ultimately whether they have good percentage or average or medium, they all move for higher education.
Yes.
Ultimately, they all want college admissions.
Right.
And from cities like nearby areas, like I said, I'm from Allahabad, Kanpur, Banaras, Mathura, Bulandshahr, Fatehabad. We ultimately come for job, for education to Delhi NCR. So how are you grooming this upcoming class 11th student?
Obviously, first of all, the curriculum that we are taking, we are preparing them because now the teachers are also very well versed with the online mode of teaching. So initially last year, it was a challenge for the teachers also developing new ideas, new resources. But now all resources are there with the teachers. They are channelized. They know how to take the classes in a better way, how to clear the concepts in a better way, so as to prepare. Secondly, the assessment thing. So now we'll be very, very particular while taking the assessments. Even the students will be very particular right now. We are counseling them. We are telling them time to time that be very, because this will be ongoing. We will be taking assessments for learning, obviously the formatives during the classroom. So might be those assessments will be a part of their final examination results. So students need to be very particular, same time teachers need to be very particular. So this has to start now right from the very beginning. So we have seen that seriousness in the teachers and students. Obviously teachers have always been serious regarding these things, but now they are well prepared with the resources and the repercussions that can happen if again there's another wave. So obviously we are mentally prepared. Students are also mentally prepared and they are working accordingly. So I hope next year issues will be less because now we have both the plans, plan A and plan B. So during the course of learning, during the internal assessment, students will be groomed in a better way, and the regular assessments will keep track of all those records and will ensure that 100% students appear in all the assessments. So that is what we are doing.
Thank you, ma'am. One very to the point question and very rightly asked question has come. The student is asking that everybody is talking about higher education and all, but what is the job scenario? I mean, we are struggling for admissions and all. So he's asking, I want to take BTech, but I want to know which is the right stream I should choose so that I get good job. Despite pandemic. So I think Verma sir will be in the right position to answer this.
Thank you, Dr. Purva. Actually, I think if anybody is interested in BTech, there are various options that are available. But according to the job scenario, if we look at our country, the maximum amount of jobs that are being created is either in the area of computer science or in the area of upcoming fields like artificial intelligence and machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, IoT. all these, in fact, fields are upcoming and they are having a large amount of jobs available in our country, even outside our country. But I would suggest all these students, those who are going to pursue their BTech, in fact, you should also look at your interest. In what areas you are interested. If you are interested in automation, if you are interested in electronics, you can, in fact, you should certainly pursue that career. Because if you pursue a career without any interest or passion, then you will always be remain an average student. And if you pursue your passion, you will always excel in that area. So that is what my advice to all the students. We are, in fact, at DTC, we are offering courses in artificial intelligence and machine learning and computer science of engineering. But all these courses have excellent openings and the salary packages are very good. And in fact, there are tremendous job openings within our country, outside the country. But again, the choice is from the student side only, that at which stream he or she wants to pursue. Thank you.
With this, we come to the round 1 and round 2, which we got from the Facebook Live questions and the chat box questions. Thank you, Sethi ma'am, Madan ma'am, and Rizvi sir, because we approached you thinking that right now you must be very busy with all these controversies of exams going on, but still you managed to spare your time for us. And our association with DME and DTC doesn't end here. We will again be approaching you from time to time to conduct several sessions, come as guests, as panel members. So moving on to, I'm handing over the session to Ms. Pooja Tripathi for an official vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for providing me a platform to deliver vote of thanks to such an eminent guest and to this August gathering. It was a great learning session and we are gratified to all the speakers whose deliberation have enlightened all the attendees. We are really thankful to our senior management for providing a platform wherein such discussions can take place and we are able to hear such eminent personalities. And really, in today's session, I could take a lot of things because there are a lot of these questions which has been discussed today have been talked all around me, and I really didn't know what is the right, what is wrong. But yes, of course, I had a lot of a new thought process today with me. So as I totally agree with Dr. Baljit Kaur from Meerut, who favored cancellation of exams instead of postponement, because it would have definitely stretched the stress of the student too. And of course, knowledge is more important than assessment, which I'm sure would have given a new horizon to my thought process as well as to the thought process of the audience. And it was really interesting to hear Dr. Syed from Agra, who highlighted one of the very important things, that it's important to renovate the environment, which focuses on marks, and said it's important to focus on profile development. It's important that it's high time that we should stop forcing students for marks. Rather, we should enhance their talent and skills. So I really liked, and one thing which I really appreciate that he added was that there should be that he added a concept of assessment for learning rather than learning for assessment. So that is very interesting to hear. Also, I'm sure audience will concur with Ms. Sunita Madan from Fatehabad, who said that the criteria for marking should be relative rather than absolute. So that is very, very relevant point. And another point that she made was that the criteria to mark the student should be based on internal assessment. I'm sure all the audience which is sitting here and looking for their assessment, they would agree to this point. I'm also thankful that I could hear Dr. Ravikant Swami sir, who's director from DME, who apprised the audience about the admission process that works for students who could not do well in class 12. So he provided you an alternative which says that even if you could not do well in your mock exams and now you have a fear that you might not score well in your assessment, you do have opportunity opportunity. So we have IP University who conducts the exam even if you have not scored well in class 12. So, and last but not the least, I was really grateful to hear Dr. Ranjit Verma, Director TTC, for mentioning the plethora of opportunity for students of class 12th locally. So they really don't have to move and spend hefty amount on their education. They can really get good education locally. So all these, after hearing all these eminent speakers, there's a lot of new things that have come across. I'm sure the students who are there, who are attending this session, must have understood and must have given a different alternative to their choices. So wisdom and the knowledge shared today on this platform by all the learned speakers has made this session extremely successful and enriching. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank moderators of session, Dr. Purva Ranjan ma'am and Dr. Shalini Gautam ma'am, for elevating our curiosity by asking pertinent questions and smooth conduction of session. I am also thankful to all organizers, Zoom management team for such a wonderful execution. Last but not the least, I would like to share my gratitude to all my lovely audience without whom the session was just not possible. And I am also sharing a link in the chat box. I would request all the participants to kindly fill this form, because your certificates and everything will be given after you fill this form. And so I would request you to kindly fill this form. So once again, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.